Hello and welcome back to Paper Traders, a show where two average Joes try to beat the market. I'm your co-host Eric, and I'm here with Danny, and I'm here to remind you that we are streaming live, so we're here to see your questions. I see Afua Boss already said something. Good morning to you and to everybody else who's here in on the show. Kind of a weird day here. Today is the official impeachment vote in the Senate. So
that means, like, basically it's ending? Like, this is the
You know-
day? Or like, what
on.
is happening exactly?
Where's
'Cause
my sound
as you
effect?
know, I am a little...
You think the Democrats are going to let it go here? Really? No.
I don't
it's
know.
Not over.
Like I said in the past few episodes, I've kind of turned that off.
I know. I'm totally
feel like-
done with it too. I'm over
Yeah,
it.
I just feel that the current parties have already made up their minds and which way this is going to go. And it's been made up for weeks and weeks, and it was the reason
Years.
why it's been so delayed with Pelosi wanting to actually give over.
They've been on it for years, man.
Right.
It
So
feels like it's been 4 years of this.
yeah. So I signed myself off. I obviously will be, anxious to see kind of what transpires from today. Like everybody else, I'm sure you're kind of glued to your news outlet, TV, whatever you're kind of watching it on.
3 o'clock today. Well, 4
so-
Eastern. 4 Eastern, 3 Central. It'll be on. We're here in Chicago, so 3 matters to me. But
Yep.
it is. I don't know. It's taken over the news. It's taken over every news feed. I'm getting tired of it. I've got severe. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Like
I'm
where you're just tired. And
exhausted.
there's a word for it, but I can't think of it right now. But yeah, I'm just so over it. I can't even begin.
It's beating you down so much, words are starting to elude you.
Yeah,
So,
completely. I mean, especially in terms of this topic, it's just constantly freaking there.
Yeah.
Constantly. And you know what? Even if he does get acquitted, which we know is going to happen because the Republicans aren't going to go and impeach him,
yeah, I just don't see them doing that.
they're not going to give up. The Democrats are going to keep it up. And then he's going to get elected again in November 2020. And it's going to be another 4 years of this.
We'll see.
Like,
We'll
can
definitely
you
see.
people in freaking politics just get something done instead of this?
Yeah.
We have roads that aren't done. We've got other infrastructure that needs to be fixed. But no, you guys have spent 3 freaking years fighting to get Trump unseated.
It's time to move along, right?
Like, seriously, give it up and do something. We elected you to do something, and this fight against him isn't helping anybody. You're just wasting time and money.
Yep. And I think with that fashion of, moving along, we're going to move the show right along and kind of jump into some earnings. There's a lot kind of happening with that forefront. Obviously, we're in the midst
Yeah, we've got
of
some crazy news today.
Yeah, we're in the middle
Fatigue.
of the
That was the word I was looking
earnings
for.
here.
Fatigue.
There you go.
I'm in impeachment fatigue mode. All right, now that we got established. Sorry, I hate it when you remember a word and it's like,
And it just
there it
pops
is."
in your head, yeah. But yeah, we're gonna talk a little Tesla. I know we've had some controversy. Oh my gosh, I can't talk to you. We're gonna move past that word. We've had some issues in the past with Tesla here on the show.
I won't say issues.
No,
just
not
fanboys
issues.
come out.
Controversy.
Yeah.
There you go. I said
Fanboys
the
come
word.
out
It
and
came out of my
fucking-
mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah, fanboys came out. They were a little upset on some of the words Eric made, which is fine. Everybody's kind of up to their own opinion. You can like Tesla, hate Tesla, love them, hate them, whatever word you want to use. Wah, wah, wah. But they are showing some good numbers. They came out last week with earnings. Revenue came out at $7.38 billion, which is versus their $7.06 billion. So quite the upgrade there. Adjusted earnings per share came in at $2.14, which was against their $1.74. Eric hates these numbers, but they are important. I know. What I really found interesting, it came down to their kind of Shanghai factories. What do they call them? The gigafactories.
The
which
gigafactories.
I don't really get the name, but yeah, gigafactories. They'll have one in Shanghai. One later in 2021, they'll start building for Berlin. And they're saying that with these 2 factories, they're going to be able to actually surpass expectations with the deliveries. So they're saying it's going to be over 500,000. It's going to exceed comfortably the amount of units that they did in 2019, which was 367,000. So
I got a theory on the gigafactory. I mean, you measure electricity in gigawatts. So I'm imagining the Gigafactory has something to do with
All
that.
right, there you go. Yeah.
But on top of that, the bigger news, I don't know if you've read this or heard this, Danny, but they're down today, kind of big, because partially because of what I think is Steve Eisman, I think his name is. Do you know that name, Steve Eisman?
Does not jump to the forefront of my mind, no.
Well, he's a pretty famous guy because in 2008 he shorted the market and made a ton of money when the real estate crisis happened.
So he was ahead of the game.
Ahead of the game, and he came out the other day saying that Tesla is a joke. He said it's basically a bunch of fanboys, that this company doesn't have anything that supports the earnings or anything else. It's basically a bubble waiting to pop. And so today they took I think it was at 20% when I read the story. It's down only 14% right now, but so.
Well, in the fact that it's been up over 50% in 2 days, I believe it's over 100% in a week. I'm going to bring it up here. But as I do that, I think it's one of those companies I feel like people kind of are jumping on because they see the future of what things could be with this company.
The future.
Right. And I don't know. I mean, it definitely is overpriced. It's overvalued right now. I think a lot of people, even the ones who are investing in it, can kind of stand behind. Like, its PE is probably insane right now. They're not even making that much money for it to be worth over $100 billion.
Yup.
So yes, the numbers are definitely stretched. Is it merited? I think in some cases, yes, just because people want this to be like, oh, is this the next Amazon? Is it going to continue to grow and grow and grow and become that next, behemoth?
Which another weird story. There was a story that what's his name, Bezos has been selling Amazon shares like
$2
crazy.
billion worth right now.
Yeah, so there's a little sidebar there. There must be something shaking at Amazon where he's like, quick, unload.
Yeah, so Tesla, they're down 15% today.
Well, right now, like I said, they were down 20 this morning when the story broke.
Yep, so that brings them down for the month of 71% up. For the week, they're still up 19%, which is quite the drop from their over 50%. At one point, they were making their charge to $1,000 per share. It's funny because our our bull here for Tesla, Brian Bolin, we were having a little conversation with him, and I kind of mentioned to him, I was like, do you think, like, they were just making their run, and we're like, hey, do you think it could go to 1,000? He's like, it's not far-fetched. And then a few days later, it's making an absolute rip tear and roar towards that $1,000 mark. I didn't think it was going to hit
in the
it.
shorts almost $8 billion or something like that. Like, it was like a ton of money lost if you shorted that stock.
Yeah, so I don't know if today is just people taking their profits. They made a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Over the past few days.
If you guys are in it and didn't take your money.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure there's some long-term investors, but I'd imagine there's definitely some of those traders, and maybe not on the daily, but on intraday, where they can get in and out a few days here and there. This is definitely one of those stocks I think people are going to take their profits when they hear any slight of bad news, whether it's just one
this
guy.
Is pretty
like,
big.
Hey,
It's not just
I'm
a one
shorting
guy
it.
though. This is a pretty big dude making a call about a company that you've heard me say almost the exact same thing.
Well, it's like when Warren Buffett buys a company, people tend to follow and join his knowledge.
You're talking to somebody who knows what they're doing, and this guy...
Proven track record
is probably the best way to put it. So, I mean, he's just kind of echoing what I've been saying for a long time. And it's, again, not anything against the green revolution or anything else, but you just stop selling people monorails. I had a conversation with Pat Pando about this earlier. It's like, I don't care about the technology. Sure, we should be getting cleaner, greener, and everything else, which we are. I mean, talk to anybody who bought a car in the 60s or 70s. Like, we're getting like 3 times the gas mileage out of these vehicles. I mean, things are getting better. But the fact that this battery, I don't believe it. I just don't. All right, we got to get off of Tesla.
I was going to say.
Real quick, we do have a guy, Tenmark, here. He says, hey, can I ask a question? Of course you can, Tenmark. You know why? Because we are streaming on all your favorite platforms, and we are here watching live, so we can get your questions and answer them if we are capable. If we are not, we will pass the question off to one of our fellow editors who will give us a response that we can get back to you about.
Yeah,
so
yes,
feel free. Feel free to ask a question. Other news. So eBay had
Yeah,
a
you
pretty,
got a little bit more than that.
pretty
I
had a
don't know
pretty good
much.
jump on their stock. I want to say they went up about 15% yesterday. Don't quote me on that, but they got an option, ICE. I can't remember the name of that company. It's like International Exchange, I think is what it stands for. But they put in an offer to basically buy them. Now it's not technically official, but that news was enough to make eBay jump. I'm actually gonna look at their stock directly through Zach's here just so we can get it. But kind of a big deal because eBay has kind of been like a sideways trader and people have been worried about it for a while. In fact, one of our other editors had talked about it in another video. So, which also, again, another sidebar. I was going to mention this, but I just want to get off the topic. If you are interested in talking Tesla or hearing about Tesla or seeing what some of the editors, again, because we are just two average Joes talking about it, if you're interested in talking to or hearing what Brian Bolin, who is the pro Tesla bull and the growth and income to stock strategist here at Zacks, along with Kevin Cook, I can't remember what he's a senior stock strategist, but he handles like the healthcare innovators and tech trader or something like that. He takes care of a bunch of the services that we have here. Both of them will be having a conversation later this afternoon, which will be available via Cook's Kitchen, so in video form only.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one to watch for. I will say he's full of knowledge, and with Brian Bolin being kind of that resident bull for Tesla, it's going to be a good conversation between the two and seeing how they kind of duke it out. I don't know where Kevin kind of stands on it, so I'll be interested definitely to see what he has to say about this insane run. I will say.
Well, long story short, then back on eBay is they have an option somebody to potentially buy them that excited the market and they got a little jump yesterday.
Yeah, the Intercontinental Exchange, the owner of the New York Stock Exchange.
Yep,
that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. Oh, and I mean, if you're talking somebody who's going to buy something like that, of course, it's a pretty well-known name. It's not like you're being bought by Joe Blow's, tire company. You're getting bought by a fairly well-known big company, so it's going to make you look pretty good in the stock market.
Yeah.
So I wish eBay luck. I'll be honest with you. eBay is a great platform. I've used it for years. And
yeah, they say they're not in any formal talks, so I think it's just one of those things like the company was like, hey, we would like to buy you. And eBay's just like,
I think eBay should consider it, man. They've been trading sideways for a while. They had the PayPal split. I mean, eBay is a great platform, which I really do hope has long-term exposure in the market.
Yeah, I never understood the PayPal split. PayPal is such a good just arm of the leg of the company. It's just one of those futuristic things where everybody's money is digital nowadays. I feel like not many people carry cash on the regular. Everything is digital, from your bank account to your stock broker. I mean, everything. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where it was a big piece of their company that they let go, but maybe you're right. Maybe it is time for them to look for new ownership to kind of see if they can expand. I don't know. I don't really see the benefit of a company like this who owns the New York Stock Exchange to own eBay.
Well, I think it would come down to the management. You'd have the management then helping them innovate and throw money into R&D and expanding, and doing more. Because, eBay is more than just eBay. eBay also owns a couple other smaller companies, like they're something Mercado in Mexico, and so they've got other platforms. But I feel like you need to innovate and expand, and I'm sure that ICE taking over would be a good move for them, because they'd have a good management team there helping them, steer them in the way of profitability, I guess would be the best way to put it.
Yeah, I guess I just have a different take. We'll see. I just don't see the benefit. I don't see why that company would want anything to do with eBay. Like, what is the benefit, and what's the give for eBay to let it go?
Well, I mean, if you're getting a blind offer, that's got to mean that they see some sort of value in the company that eBay isn't realizing, right?
I mean, but Joe Schmo, who has $1 billion, could see,
Yeah, but Joe Schmo has $1 billion, doesn't have a track record of being the head of the stock exchange.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's just one of those things where my eyebrow kind of gets raised, and I'm like,
I'm not gonna put that down either. I don't really get it either, but I feel like for eBay, they should, if you're getting an offer from them, you should be taking a look at it, because there might be more future growth there. But it did well for them today. Let's get to the questions we got here real quick. For Mike Peters, we got oil doing pretty good today. Any thoughts on change in the trend? You know what, Mike? I don't actually follow oil too much, but because of what's going on with the coronavirus and stuff, I have seen articles saying that oil is taking a hit.
I mean, the coronavirus is kind of hitting globally.
Yeah, it's hitting stuff, mostly in medical field.
Well, it's funny because I was going to mention this, and I hate to keep circling back, but even with Tesla, they got hit
Somebody get me a shotgun.
Well, it got hit with the Gigafactory, so they actually had to come out and say that they're going to be delaying that Gigafactory in Shanghai, and that's due to the coronavirus. They actually had to shut down one of their factories due to the virus. So it's one of those things where this. I don't know. Have they labeled it a pandemic yet, or
No, it hasn't been labeled a pandemic
All
yet.
right,
There
well-
have been some people saying it's on the cusp of one, but I mean,
yeah, it's definitely
know.
something that is affecting everything globally. So I think in these next few quarters, you might see some companies taking hits in certain aspects, depending where they are in the world.
so long
globally.
story short, there, Mike Peters with oil. I don't really have any thoughts on it. From what I've seen, it's taking a little bit of a hit, but I don't really follow oil that closely. It's a commodity. It's something that we don't really focus on too much here at Zacks, and I don't really focus on too much personally because that's a pretty volatile market.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know much either myself, so I'd probably fray away from giving any words of advice on that note. But something that we do have a little expertise is in Disney. I would say we've owned that company, both me and you, and they came out with some earnings. So
Disney, yeah, you and I had looked at it before we even started the show, and they're showing that they're down today, and both of us
Makes no
find that
sense.
interesting. But I'm gonna chalk this up to it's impeachment day, and everybody's way more interested in what's going on politically than they are in the market.
yeah, that
down right
I
now.
mean, this isn't uncommon. I've definitely seen this with stocks before. They come out with decent earnings. They have a little bit of headway in certain aspects of their company, especially with Fox Media and ESPN. But yeah, they were up 2%, almost 3%. Now they're down almost 3%. So I think it's just one of those things that happens with
It's an
earnings
especially
sometimes.
good company. It should be doing better, but it's not that big of a deal. I'm not worried.
It'll be fine. Just some fun numbers if anybody's interested. Disney's earnings came out at $1.53 per share on revenue that is $20.86 billion. This was expected, or this was on the expectations of $1.44 per share and $20.79 billion. So they're definitely doing well on the revenue side. Then they came out with the huge kind of number that everybody was looking for, which was with the services. They came out with 26.5 million subscribers, which
Yeah, it was huge.
that blows me away. They were only expecting around 20 to 25 million, somewhere in that ballpark range. They actually surpassed that. So bravo to them. They're doing great. They didn't come out with any numbers saying what they were expecting in the 2024 because when they first started this, I think they were saying like 60 million people were going to be involved. They didn't up that. They didn't move that number at all. So we'll see. They're just going to kind of keep it quiet. I think what might have kind of brought them down, though, was again, ESPN and Fox Media. They still are losing money due to them putting money into these assets like ESPN, and they're losing revenue on ads and stuff. So people
Who
aren't.
cares about ESPN?
They do.
I mean, but in general, I feel like that's a losing asset. They were losing money years ago before Disney even picked them up. So, side noting, we'll stray off of Disney. Another company that lost some money yesterday when they announced was Snap. Very similarly, they had more active users than ever, but for whatever reason, they're losing money, and they were down. I think, what did I read? It was 13% after the report.
Oof.
So to go over boring numbers, the revenue is $506 million versus the $562.9 they were expected. Adjusted earnings per share 0.3 versus 0.1, and they were up 218 million users versus 214. So another weird one, but I never really even understood Snap. Like, it seems to me like that's more about the filters and stuff than it is anything else. And I mean, my niece and my sister use it a lot because my niece thinks it's awesome.
Yeah, I had never used it.
Yeah.
I have friends that did. Quickly fell off. I think it was more of a fad for them just to, again, send fun pictures
Yeah,
and
I
whatnot.
feel like it's something that's kind of integrated into everything now, so it's kind of unnecessary, but that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, Instagram literally has pretty much the same thing going on. You can send stories. It's not exactly the same
Brought
thing,
to you
but
by
in
the
essence,
same people that brought you Facebook.
Right.
Those people that don't pay attention, which is like half the world.
Hey, man, Facebook is on top of their stuff with social media.
Are they on
definitely know
WhatsApp too?
where
Another
to,
huge one.
Yeah, they definitely know where to put their money and where to invest. So
It's just funny because a lot of users don't realize that. Like,
No.
I had a friend that was like, "Oh, I'm completely off Facebook now." Blah 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 blah. They're like, "You should download WhatsApp though, so we can continue talking." I'm like, you do realize that that's owned by Facebook, like,
Right?
what?
I hope investors realize that.
Oh, hopefully, if you're putting your money in
Facebook
it.
is in a lot of different facets of social media. They're definitely not a company going anywhere. Just because your mom and grandma are the only ones using Facebook does not mean that they don't have other ways of getting the younger generation involved. So they've proved their point very well.
Oh yeah, they're making a
with
ton of money
Instagram
off
and
those
stuff.
ads too.
Oh yeah, big time.
Lots of money, lots of money. What else you got there, Danny? Any other stories? Because that's pretty much the last one I got.
No, those are the two big earnings I really wanted to hit on. I know Tesla's a week old, but it's been something that's been in the news for a while. And then Disney.
I need a shotgun button. That way, every time you say Tesla, we could just kill that topic.
Well, no, I mean it's just one of those things that we had to touch on, especially with the earnings last week. It needed to be said on why they've kind of had this run, and then obviously why they've kind of come back down to earth. I would like to say, but then Disney is a big one just because both of us own it.
Yeah, that is a big one.
Yeah, in our not our personal portfolios, but in our paper trading portfolios that we do here. So it was one that we were watching and hoping to have some good news, and we did. So I hope to see some growth over the next.
It's funny that you
here.
brought up the part about our personal portfolios versus our trading portfolios here at Zacks. And you know what? There's a comment that I've seen very commonly in the Zacks online community when it comes to YouTube especially, which is why do these people go and tell us that they don't own stocks? Isn't that silly? Like, essentially, is like in short what most people say, like it's stupid that we recommend these things but we don't own them ourselves. Do you realize how many stocks we recommend?
Yeah, there's a lot.
It
out
would
there,
be
guys.
very expensive for us to own every single one, and then if we also own the ones and I had to tell you about them, it'd be ridiculous.
It can get
because you'd also
complicated.
want to know when we're selling them, and that's kind of what the portfolios are for.
Yeah, that's why we run the paper traders. We want you guys to have something you can actually.
And that's
follow
why we
along
have
with.
Services. Exactly. And with those services, you get a heck of a deal, Danny. Did you know that right now?
Oh my goodness, what kind of deal?
For $1, you can sign up for Zacks.com and get access to a bunch of our services. I know, it's crazy.
$1.
But this explains to these people, A, why we can't afford to own all these stocks, and B, gives them an option to look more closely into stocks that are more in line with their trading style.
Well, yeah.
So,
I mean,
try it out, Zacks.com/promo for $1. You can get in and check out all the tools and all the portfolios that we have available to you and see exactly what fits your style.
Right. And some of the stocks are obviously and can be owned by some of these editors. And they that's why they do have that kind of disclosure, letting you know whether they do or don't. But the stock market's constantly changing. We want to be able to give you stocks that are on top of the market. People are talking about, things are kind of happening with them. We want to keep you informed. And not every stock is going to be owned. So that's just a little kind of our disclosure for you guys. But other than that, I think we should just kind of jump into our battleground, take a look at our portfolio, see how they're doing in this kind of.
And then we'll get to these questions. We got some
market.
more comments and questions here.
All right, so here we go.
I love it how it sounds so old and 8-bit too. You did a great job with that one, Danny.
It's a great little intro.
Okay, portfolio-wise, I'll just kick it off. I'm just going to say that I'm with all the stuff that's going on in terms of politics and everything else, admittedly, I have completely just turned off and have just felt defeated in terms of dealing with the news and markets. So I kind of didn't really do anything in terms of any research. I tried keeping on top of Boeing for a while, and Boeing let me down. I've still been looking at it. It's still a strong sell, which is great if you want to buy it, but it means it's still got way further to probably go down yet. My portfolio looks good. I can't complain. Everything's green today. Disney is the only one that's really down.
You're in the green again.
Yeah, I mean,
with total gains.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing well. I can't complain. I need to expand my market value. I need to put more money in, and I think to do that,
I think
what did I buy Disney at? If it's down, it's got to be probably lower than what I bought it at, right? Yeah, I bought it 140.71. I'm gonna put in another
couple shares.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy. I've only got 2 shares. I'm gonna put it up to 10 shares because really believe that this is going to go higher. I think today's a fluke. So right now you're seeing me live.
So it'll be a 164, or it'll be 164 or 5 average is what you just purchased at.
So I didn't upgrade my market value. Either way, I just added a part of my position. I need to sit and hold for a while and wait for things to just straighten out. I am just so kind of mad at what's happening with the freaking politics. I just can't even stand to look at a newspaper because it's just, just impeachment,
Right.
the Senate. Even this morning, it's all Pelosi, because she went and tore up that thing, throwing a tantrum. I mean, I'm just so over this. Like, government, get back to work.
Yeah, I mean,
get back to work.
There's probably a lot of people who are feeling the same way. But me, I feel pretty optimistic with the market. I'm very happy with it, especially the way it's treating my portfolio. It seems like we've made some type of turn. I don't know what we did, but Square, we've made all our money back. We're not in the red anymore. As you see, 79.40 is where it's sitting today, and we purchased at 78.70. So finally, we've made our way out of the red. And
you've been green for a little while now, though. It's not like you've been in the red for that long.
Well, with that stock, we've been red the whole time except for the past few days. We're now sitting at a almost 6% gain on our total portfolio at $125. Still have quite a bit to actually put in the market, but every stock we own currently, we're in the green. So
good.
I'm very happy with the way I've kind of modeled the portfolio. We're not ready to take any profit. The companies that we're still watching, they're coming out with good earnings, including Disney. AT&T's got some earnings coming out. We'll look at Square at the end of the month here in February. Then, obviously, the dividend ETF is always a good one. So, yeah, I'm just happy that it's not a volatile portfolio or I'm having to, change the way I'm investing. So, yeah, good stuff. Green all the way, and I am just very happy with the way it's performing. So,
well, you've been doing good, Danny. All right, so finishing up with that, let's get into the questions. We have a couple here. There's two from two individuals, but one guy's got two-parters. So we'll start with Mike Peters first because I've seen your name before, and we're gonna give you preferential treatment. So, Mike Peters, what's your take on Bitcoin? Is it a buy? I'll be honest with you, I don't like Bitcoin. Flat off the bat, I can't even begin to tell you how I don't like Bitcoin. That stock to me is super overinflated. It's a fiat currency, which terrifies me, and call me a boomer, which I'm not, but the idea of some sort of currency basically being backed by a market says to me that thing can go up and down in a heartbeat. I know that there's been a lot of research about it saying that it's, the new currency that's coming because it's, worldwide, and Bitcoin's done a bunch to try to, expand their foothold in the world. I'm pretty sure you can use Bitcoin anywhere in Japan now.
Yeah, it's one of those things where
I just feel like it disappears so quick, and
yeah.
you're sitting there holding the bag.
Well, we touched on it kind of earlier in the show about everything being digital, all your currencies, whether you're in America or England, China. I'm sure everybody has those very digital ways of getting your money. This is just another way of doing that, but I feel like for the whole world to get on board with this universal currency would take decades. I mean, look how long it's taken. I know you're going to hate it, but the electric car to catch on, like you said in the
since
past.
the 1970s?
Right. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where even if it was a viable thing, it's going to take a very long time to become what most people would imagine it being.
I will say that blockchain technology has a lot of...
Oh, blockchain's amazing.
Yeah,
people are implementing that everywhere.
That's got a lot of availability for people to use, but in terms of Bitcoin, man, just the idea of a currency that's really basically controlled by its stock market share, that's it almost sounds like a pyramid scheme. It's like a fiat on top of a fiat, I can't...
I definitely agree. I think where the real kind of future is the blockchain. A lot of companies already are kind of implementing into their companies for security reasons. And
right.
It's just one of those things that it's kind of a no-brainer to use.
Right.
Now,
to also specify with this, we don't follow this. So there's no Zacks rank or anything available for it. We're literally just telling you what we personally feel. So don't go and take this as, the church of truth, basically. But this is our own personal feelings on it.
Two average Joes.
Yeah,
remember.
Two average Joes. I will say I'm out on Bitcoin.
Yeah, I've been out for a while. I haven't even really heard too much news. I know it's something happened a few days ago with it. I think some purchasing of Bitcoin. I'm not too sure, but
Not sure, but it seems here that Mike Peters also agrees. He says, "I agree. A Bitcoin. If you want to gamble, I'll go to Vegas and buy a lottery ticket."
there you go. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd agree.
that's a word
I'd
for
agree
word
with
good
that.
statement. I would take that and stamp it somewhere on a bumper sticker. So
Let's get to 10 Mark here. 10 Mark, welcome, by the way. Where do you see the current trend of stock market in 2020? Do you think we'll see more gains, or will the year be likely sideways? And then to go with the second question, given that 2020 interest rates are low, so the sectors with less interest rates are likely to perform better, right? Can you please touch on how does the interest rate affect the whole industry? Ooh, buddy. That's a very long conversation that I don't know if I can really touch on given my personal history, really. I mean,
I guess the short stem of it all is that interest rates affect consumers,
They
and
do.
consumers are the number one driving factor to our economy. So
right.
if you look at that sense, yes, lower interest rates can definitely improve the stock market, and historically it has.
Right.
So if you want to look at it in that sense,
But
then,
I can't
then
tell
yes,
you what
but
sectors are going to be doing better. I mean, that is a tough call. I mean, I guess that would have to do with a lot with how much is being, how the interest rates are going down, how much money is being injected, whether housing prices are low or if there's a bubble, who's buying what, are Ferraris hot, what I mean? That's a very muddled question that I don't know if I can really expand on. As my terms for what I think is going to happen in 2020, Trump, baby, we're going up.
Yeah, I think I don't see the market taking a huge downturn anytime
No.
soon. I mean, we have some decent earnings coming out. Nothing spectacular that people are going, absolutely rampant over. But I think we're in for a good year, just like
Yeah.
last year. We might see some plateauing, maybe not as insane as we have in the past. But yeah, it's definitely something not to get out of the market yet. I would continue to invest and be smart about it.
Yeah, I don't see anything really taking it down out of, where we're at. I think we're at the very best trade sideways, or at the very worst trade sideways. At the very best, we're going to jump up.
I don't see the recession coming, if that's kind of the hint of what you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, actually, Mike Peters just came back. Low interest rates are allowing many companies to buy back their shares, driving share up beyond the fair value, in my opinion. You're probably not wrong. There's probably a little bit of that. But, I mean, that's also self-preservation, right? You're taking a lot of money out of the market so you can go and invest and do research and development. And so you're probably not wrong there, Mike.
Putting money back into the economy.
Right. Well, and also back into your company. If you're buying up shares, you're probably taking that money and, like I said, spending on R&D, building the new gigafactory,
And
whatever
that goes
it might
back
be.
to that tax break that a lot of companies got from the Trump tax law. So they a lot of people thought they were going to put it kind of into specific like sections, but they just reinvested it into their own companies, and that's what they're hoping to do. So that's exactly what we're seeing, I think, with this booming economy.
Right. And we're doing good, man. We're doing good. NASDAQ had a brand new high yesterday. So with that, I think I'm going to say it is time for us to split, guys. And be sure to like, subscribe, comment on your platform. Send us your questions. Leave us stuff. If we're talking about a topic that you have a point to make or you have a question to ask or we can't answer it, like I said, we will take it to our room of editors and let one of them hammer it out and give us a response for you the next following show.
Yeah, just get involved.
Get involved. Give us a question, and trailing stops at 20%, Mike. Okay. All right. I can't keep looking at these comments.
Hey, we appreciate it.
Yes, we will see you guys next week.
Yep. Thanks. Peace.